We encourage folks to look at outside 401ks that they have, traditional IRAs, whatever, and decide whether they want to transfer that money into TSP. But the thing you want to do is, if you decide to transfer that money in, select it as a transfer. Or what the private sector might call it, you might hear them call it a direct rollover. Direct rollover and a transfer is the same thing. You want to avoid a rollover, because a rollover means the check is coming to you, and it's no longer a trustee-to-trustee situation. It is now a check coming to you. They're going to have to withhold money for tax withholding. You'll have to make yourself whole out of your own pocket and get that money into your TSP account within 60 days. You can do it that way, but I encourage you to avoid that if possible, because some folks, we get those phone calls every now and then of folks saying, oh, I did this and I got this big check and I spent some of the money accidentally. I don't know what that's about. But what I do now? Well, you got to come up with that money, or that's going to be taxable income and potentially penalties for early withdrawal from IRS. So you want to avoid the rollover. You really want to do it as a transfer or direct rollover. That way the check just goes from them to us. Goes into your account and you're good to go. No problems there. So really Roth it's not that complicated of an issue. It's just a tax issue. And you just have to decide whether you want to take that tax hit up front or not. Does anybody have any other Roth questions? I think I covered the major questions that most people throw out there right now. And you'll see more and more if you got your annual statement, if you still get the paper form of the annual statement, there was a Roth leaflet in there and a highlights about Roth in there that discusses it. There's also a video on our website, a little 2-minute video that talks about it. There's a QR code on that leaflet too that has that same video. If you have a smartphone, you can go ahead and watch that. There'll be additional videos as Roth rolls out to give you more and more information in the future. Now, just in the interest of time, I'm going to go through some of this relatively quickly I just discussed transfers and rollovers. This is actually the process right here. If you want to do that transfer, all you need to do is get a TSP 60 from our website, fill out the top portion of that, give it to your financial institution, and they fill out the bottom portion. They certify whether it's eligible funds or not, and then they send that form in along with the check directly into your account. And like it says right here, that can be 401ks, 403As or Bs, 457 plans, traditional IRAs, and in the future potentially Roth 401ks. It does not include Roth IRAs, education or inherited IRAs. Those are not eligible employer plans or anything like that that can be transferred in. It's not a very complicated process. We don't charge anything for that. They may charge a small nominal fee for their processing of the paperwork out in the private sector, but we don't charge anything for that. There's no charge. If you're having difficulties with the website, with TSP, you need to make sure your address is correct in our system and updated. If you need the new PIN number or password, you need us to send your account number out to you so you can get directly into your account. You need to give us a call. If you hit number 1, this is all automated things. You're going to need to know those PIN numbers and passwords to get into that. If you hit number 3, you're going to get a live person 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. They can go ahead and verify that information for you, send you new passwords, PIN numbers, and assist you with your account balances, answering Roth questions, answering loan questions, assisting you with loans, withdrawals, everything that I can do. They should be able to do for you right then and there over the phone and assist you with that. I've had several folks come by today, and we deal obviously with Uniform Services members, deal with this quite often with addresses in our system not being updated correctly, and therefore they're not getting their annual statement, they're not getting mail-outs that we send out and stuff like that. So you might want to give us a call every now and then and make sure that's up to date. Now, as long as you're active, you have to correct that through either your agency on the civilian side or through whoever payroll, MyPay, whatever processes your payroll. In any case, they have to, as long as you're active, you have to do it through them. We cannot update data information like that for active participants. When you become separated is when you'll deal directly with us for those updates, address changes, and so forth. So make sure you just look at that every now and then, and I tell folks with that annual statement that you just received, if you do nothing at all, look at your personal information and make sure that information is correct, because from time to time that might be incorrect information. So I encourage folks to do that. And that's what I'm talking about right there. We have no control over your pay. As long as you're active, your data, your information, your contribution election, all of that occurs through your payroll. We have no control. We never, ever see that. We never see your earning and leave statement, nothing like that. I have no idea what that looks like or what that says for you. TSP and the board that I work for, we are strictly the record keeper and administrator of the plan. So we don't have that information. We don't deal with that until you become a separated employee, and then you deal directly with us with TSP. So as long as you're active, you have to do it through that. And when Roth kicks in, that's exactly where you'll make your Roth elections also, just like you have right now. That's really the biggest delay of the reason why it's taking time right now to implement that is because all those systems have to be updated. We have about 110 different payroll systems out there in the federal government that all have to be updated and people educated and so forth. And yeah, it's not as easy as it sounds. Now, once you make that election to contribute to TSP, you have to, first and foremost, you have to tell us where you want that money to flow. If you do nothing at all, the default is the G fund, of course. Your money's going to go into the G fund. And that's a good point to bring up right now, too, is that all of your contributions will flow the same once Roth kicks in. So if you're doing 50% traditional and 50% Roth, all of those contributions will go to whatever fund you have allocated at that time. So say that's 100% C fund. Everything's going C fund, whether it's traditional or Roth. You can't pick and choose where you want the different ones to go, traditional or Roth. It's all going to flow in the same way and go to the same contribution allocation. And that is something you will conduct directly through us, would be your contribution allocation, either via the website or through that thrift line. And if you don't know your password and all that kind of stuff you need to know, you can certainly have that live person do that for you. They'll walk you through it, confirm it with you, and send you a confirmation of what you elected. So that's a contribution allocation. That affects all future money, any money that flows in, whether it be a contribution, a loan repayment, a transfer or rollover. That's how it's going to go into your account at that time. Now, if you want to move existing money in your account around, then that's an IFT, an interfund transfer. That's a one-time transaction. You go in and you say, all my money's in the C fund 100%. I want to go into the F and the S fund, whatever, 50-50. They'll look at your entire account at the end of that day, and they'll move 50% of they'll sell all your shares in the C fund, and 50% will be bought in the F fund, and 50% will be bought in the S fund, and you'll now be 50-50. But that only affects current money. The interfund transfer only affects current money. If you want all of your current money and future money to basically flow in the same way, you're going to want to do both of these transactions at the same time. That's where a mistake is made quite often with folks. They'll do one or the other, and then they'll call us up and say, hey, you're not doing it right, and you only did one or the other. You didn't affect your future money. You just moved your current money or vice versa. So you want to make sure you do both of these. You can do both of these on the website or through the thrift line. You have to do it before 12 noon Eastern time, and it generally will occur that business day. Or as the CFR says, ordinarily that day. So don't always go in there at 11:59 every single day and do this, because it doesn't always process quick enough, and it might occur the very next day. So if you're getting that close to the cutoff time, you might run the risk of the next day this occurring.